Once a Soho House basic, always a Soho House basic bitch.
Jeffrey Epstein was also Harvey Weinstein, very prominent. There were members. Meghan Markle was just one of the working girls for Soho House. Call girl, working girl, escort, whatever you want to call it. That's what she was.
Before Meghan Markle ever became the Duchess of Sussex, she'd already mastered something no royal tutor could ever teach: the art of networking her way into power. She didn't stumble into destiny, she calculated it. One introduction, one soiree, one perfectly timed smile at a time.
Meghan has always had this very strange fascination with Soho House, very much this weird obsession with.
Forget the tiaras and all those stiff palace rules. Meghan's real crowning achievement wasn't a royal title, it was her razor-sharp instinct for influence. While others tried to learn curtsies, Meghan was learning connections. She could scan a room and instantly spot the most powerful person there and make them notice her.
Back in her early days, she was totally reliant on Soho House to pay for her travel, to pay for her accommodation.
And standing quietly but strategically beside her through every move was one man, Markus Anderson, the one tabloids would soon label her social architect. He wasn't her boyfriend, her publicist, or her manager. He was something far more dangerous. The guy who knew exactly how to turn Meghan Markle into a brand.
This guy has been around all of the time. Isn't that suspicious to you? Because it is for me. It is something strange.
Let's be real. Meghan didn't just trip and fall into royalty. She climbed that ladder in designer heels, latte in hand, and Markus was the one holding the door open. Together, they were a force of charm and strategy the royal world had no idea was coming.
Without Markus Anderson, I hope to prove to you in this video that Meghan Markle wouldn't have the level of global fame that she enjoys now.
While most struggling actresses begged for one line on a pilot episode, Meghan was sipping cocktails at Soho House, the ultra-exclusive club Markus helped run, brushing shoulders with Hollywood power players like it was her 9 to 5. Some called it ambition, others called it precision-guided social climbing. But whatever label you prefer, Markus Anderson was right there, her confidant, her fixer, her gateway into the world she dreamed of. And now, after years of rumors and half-truths, Markus has finally broken his silence, and what he's hinted at could flip the Meghan Markle story upside down. Because behind that polished smile and fairy tale image lies a tale of ambition, manipulation, and a friendship that went far deeper than anyone ever imagined. And let me tell you the truth, Markus hinted at is messy.
Is like a parasite always lurking in their shadow. No normal family has a constant third wheel, male or female, leeching onto their every move. Markus is practically glued to them.
Very messy. Before Markus ever met Meghan, he was already that guy. Everyone in elite circles wanted to know the man who could turn a nobody into a somebody with just one well-timed introduction. Born in Ontario, no royal blood, no trust fund, just charm, access, and a sixth sense for power. By the time he joined Soho House, that members-only haven for the rich and restless Markus had already mastered the game. He wasn't throwing parties, he was curating influence. Politicians, actors, CEOs, heirs, they all mingled in those plush lounges, while Markus moved through them like a king without a crown.
Markus started off at Soho House London as a waiter, and he was a global membership director when he first met Meghan.
Then she appeared Meghan Markle, a rising actress from Suits, already craving something bigger than Hollywood could offer. To Markus, she wasn't just another actress hoping for a reservation, she was polished, hungry, and ready to climb. He saw potential, and not just for friendship, for strategy. When Markus invited her into the Soho House circle, everything changed. Suddenly, she was no longer that girl from a cable show. She was a name whispered in rooms that mattered. Markus didn't just open doors, he rewrote her guest list. He was the key holder to the elite, and Meghan knew it. This wasn't about romance, this was about leverage. Together, they built a network that would reshape her future one cocktail party at a time. What Markus didn't know was that this friendship, built on glamour and access, would one day make him one of the most talked about names in royal history.
You know, this is what Meghan has been doing. She's a piece of Klingon, you know, like she clings to somebody who can get her there. So Meghan manages to befriend one person of a very popular group, and then that person introduces her to the others. And that because that she's being brought in by somebody they trust, she's welcomed.
When Meghan and Markus's worlds collided, their connection was instant, not romantic, but electric, driven by ambition. Markus was no small talk man, and Meghan was no small dream girl. Together, they became a social power duo, two people who could read a room and reshape it in minutes. Markus saw in her what others missed: a woman who could merge Hollywood charm with royal-grade composure. She was camera-ready, articulate, always calculating her next move behind a smile, and Markus had the keys to every private villa, backroom dinner, and exclusive invitation worth having. When they started showing up together at Soho House events, people noticed. That actress from Suits suddenly became the woman everyone wanted at their table. Behind the scenes, Markus was busy engineering her social makeover, the architect of her transformation. He introduced her to designers, philanthropists, and influencers who could polish her image. He arranged quiet getaways that doubled as networking opportunities, including one fateful weekend at Soho Farmhouse, the very retreat where Meghan allegedly met Prince Harry for the first time. It wasn't luck, it was logistics, Marcus's logistics. To him, it was friendship. To her, acceleration. Every connection brought her closer to the life she dreamed of, and Marcus seemed to enjoy the ride. But as her spotlight grew, so did the whispers. Was Marcus just helping a friend, or was he pulling the strings behind one of the most talked about royal love stories of the decade? Because when ambition and influence collide, it's never just coincidence. When Meghan Markle crossed into royal territory, she didn't just bring her Hollywood sparkle, she brought Markus Anderson right along with her. And while most of her old friends slowly faded from the background, Marcus didn't. He stayed, always close. Too close, according to some inside Buckingham Palace. He wasn't royal, he wasn't staff, he wasn't even part of the establishment, but somehow his name kept showing up at private dinners, luxury getaways, even at pre-wedding gatherings. It was like Markus Anderson had a golden pass to one of the most guarded institutions on earth, and that of course didn't sit well with the royals. To Palace insiders, Marcus wasn't just an outsider, he was an anomaly. They couldn't understand how this Canadian socialite with no title, no rank, and no official reason to be there had suddenly become such a regular face in Meghan's royal world. He wasn't bound by protocol, yet his presence seemed to echo through every hallway she walked. And Meghan? She didn't hide it. Marcus was her constant, her emotional anchor in a world that judged her every move. While the royals obsessed over decorum and hierarchy, Marcus gave her something rarer: familiarity, loyalty, and the comfort of her old life. But that same closeness began to raise eyebrows. Because the monarchy doesn't do outsiders, especially not ones who seem to have this much influence. And Marcus, with his Soho House confidence and celebrity contact list, didn't exactly fit the palace mold. Rumors began swirling. Was he just a friend or something more strategic? And before long, whispers turned into speculation. Speculation that Marcus wasn't just standing beside Meghan, he might still be shaping her. A narrative from behind the curtain. That thought sent shivers through the palace halls. Because in their world, power is control, and Marcus was a variable they couldn't control. Then came the whisper that would ignite an explosion. It started small, just a quiet source in the press claiming to be close to Markus Anderson. But in the royal universe, even a whisper can sound like thunder. Within hours, tabloids went feral. Headlines screamed that Markus Anderson, Meghan's so-called best friend, had allegedly revealed too much. Suddenly, every outlet from London to Los Angeles was running with it, twisting his words, framing him as the man who knew too much about the Duchess of Sussex. One private remark about his unbreakable bond with Meghan turned into a wildfire of scandal. Friendship was spun into flirtation, loyalty into betrayal. Inside the palace, panic erupted. The royal PR machine went into what aides later called containment mode. Phones rang nonstop. Statements were drafted, retracted, rewritten. Every whisper of Marcus's name sent officials into overdrive. Because this wasn't just any leak, this came from someone who had been inside Meghan's world long before Harry, and for Meghan, it hit like a punch to the gut. She'd fought years of ugly headlines, but this one was personal. Because this time, it wasn't a tabloid hack or an anonymous palace aide, it was someone she'd called family. The irony was heartbreaking. The man who helped build her public image was now intentionally or not feeding the same media machine that was tearing it down. Marcus, meanwhile, stayed completely silent. No denial, no defense, no public comment, and that silence became its own story. The press devoured it. Every moment he didn't speak only fueled speculation about what he really knew. Behind closed doors, things got tense, very tense. Harry, already on edge about media leaks, reportedly confronted Meghan. Trust, already fragile, started to crack. Old photos resurfaced: Meghan and Marcus laughing at events, whispering during dinners, each one reinterpreted as proof of something scandalous. And just when the frenzy peaked, another comment hit the tabloids. Marcus fulfilling another role with Meghan Markle, lovely sailing days on the beautiful blue ocean. That single line sent tabloids into a feeding frenzy. Every image, every rumor, every grainy photo twisted into a new headline. For Meghan, it wasn't just public humiliation, it felt like betrayal. Real or imagined, it didn't matter. Because once the press gets a narrative, it becomes truth in the eyes of millions. Markus Anderson, once her rock, was now painted as her biggest liability. The royal household couldn't decide which was worse, the leak itself, or what Marcus might still say. So behind the scenes, they went into damage control. Stories were pulled, journalists were warned, calls were made in hushed tones to stop the bleeding. But it was too late. The headlines had already done their job. Every photo of Marcus and Meghan that ever existed was now re-examined under the microscope of scandal. The world didn't see a friendship anymore, it saw conspiracy. Meghan, the manipulative duchess. Marcus, the mysterious confidant. And the monarchy? The helpless victim in between. Inside those palace walls, senior aides scrambled to protect the royal image. But in truth, it wasn't control they were losing, it was fear taking over. Fear that Marcus might talk again. Fear that he might confirm things the palace desperately wanted buried. Because one wrong word from Markus Anderson could rewrite everything they'd worked to keep secret. Meanwhile, Meghan's team tried to humanize her carefully worded statements about loyalty, privacy, and misunderstood friendships. But the more they clarified, the worse it got. It was like trying to stop a hurricane with an umbrella. Behind the glamour and royal protocol, Meghan was emotionally unraveling. She'd already been branded difficult by the British press, but now she was being cast as dangerous, a duchess with secrets and a friend who could expose them all. Marcus, meanwhile, vanished. No interviews, no appearances, no posts, nothing. He went dark, and that silence only made him more fascinating. The tabloids called it strategic. The palace called it suspicious. But Meghan, she called it heartbreaking. Because when your closest friend becomes the center of a royal scandal, there's no going back. Then, after years of silence, Markus Anderson finally resurfaced not with a tell-all book or a TV special, but with a quiet confession at a private event that somehow spilled online. He didn't rant or defend, he reflected. He admitted he'd stood by Meghan through every storm and that much of what the public believed was never the real story. No betrayal, no excuses, just a measured truth that sounded like closure and care at once. Insiders called it damage control, others called it loyalty in its purest form. Either way, it reignited the fire. Why now? Why after years of silence? Speculation exploded again. Was Markus protecting Meghan or protecting himself? But what stood out was his restraint. He never attacked the royals, never exposed Meghan. He simply showed that even after everything, loyalty still mattered. In the end, Meghan moved on her circle smaller, her trust scarred, her story forever entwined with Markus Anderson. The press called him a mystery. She called him a friend who understood what power costs. Because in the royal world, crowns may shine, but they cast long shadows, and Markus stood in that shadow long enough to know its truth. And that is the final chapter of Meghan and Markus, a friendship born in glamour, tested by ambition, and etched forever in royal gossip history.